Hello viewers and welcome to another episode of the Lord of the Rings The Card Game Progression Series. My name is Mitch.
And my name is Matthew.
Last time we managed to vanquish the Watcher in the water. Today we venture into the long dark. So, Matthew, where are we in our story?
The mines of Moria are a dark labyrinth of narrow tunnels and wide passages, natural caves, and impressive caverns of dwarven workmanship. The heroes must make their way eastward, discovering what they can about the orcs, and perhaps even meeting up with Balin for more information. But it is easy to get lost in the darkness.
So, similar to what we experienced in Khazad-dum, we're again venturing into Moria, the Black Pit. We're looking for Balin, any signs of dwarf life or activity. We've made it past the Watcher, we've done our boss fight, and now we're gonna do a bit of spelunking and exploration. As always, let's begin by taking a look at our player decks. As per usual, I'm the quester, Matthew's more of the combat player, and this was a very interesting scenario to build decks for. The primary threat we have to worry about are powerful treachery cards, so you probably shouldn't be surprised by now to see Matthew and I both running spirit heroes. I considered going with Eleanor, but because the locations in this quest have such high threat values because we need to be questing for so much, I actually opted to go with Éowyn, just because Matthew and I both have Test of Will. Hopefully that's not going to come back and bite us, but I'm definitely going for more of an aggro deck than a control-oriented one. I've got 3 different spheres worth of heroes. Dane Ironfoot is kind of ubiquitous in this series, but he powers up dwarves. I've got Beaufort, I've got Bomber, because there are a lot of underground locations we have to contend with, and I've also got Ever My Heart Rises. This is kind of something we see across both decks, just because this is a scenario featuring a lot of underground locations, and our decks feature a lot of dwarves. There are plenty of attachments to play on me, to play on Matthew. He's going to pick up my Legacy of Durin. Hopefully I'll have Éowyn with an early game Song of Wisdom, Steward of Gondor, and then some expensive allies, some direct damage effects to deal with some low HP enemies, and then just some stuff like Untroubled by Darkness, Secret Paths, just to ensure Matthew and I can deal with anything the encounter deck happens to throw at us. But, Matthew, what can we expect out of your deck today?
Well, I am playing a trusty dwarf deck made up of Gimli, Thalon, and Dwalin. And Thalon's included here to be used in conjunction with Fresh Tracks and Gondorian Spearmen to hopefully destroy as many enemies as possible before we have to deal with them, freeing up my other characters to quest. Because we have to do all these locate tests, I'm hoping to use things like Feint and Hasty Stroke and Quick Strike as sort of cards that I can ditch, as sort of things of a last resort, and not really planning on playing those outright. Also, of course, sort of hoarding Dwalin's resources to pay for cancellation and the few spirit allies that I draw. So questing sort of is the name of the game here, even though I'm playing the combat deck. So let's hope that I can pull my weight here.
Yeah, it should be an interesting scenario. Note, for instance, there's only one copy of Erebor Battlemaster in Matthew's deck, just because with one exception, there's no real big bad for this scenario. We're going to need a lot of cards in hand for the afore alluded to locate tests, hence Beravor here. But I suppose we can just go ahead and get things started. Alright, so with our deck intros out of the way, why don't I go ahead and draw my opening 6 cards. Matthew has already done that. I guess I started with, I have Song of Wisdom in my opening hand, which is really great. I'm not too terribly impressed with everything else, but it actually could end up being pretty decent. So I guess I'm tempted to keep my opening hand, although it's far from perfect. And what about you, Matthew?
I mean, the things I have are good. A little heavy on spirit, but I think I'm going to stick with it.
I guess just of concern for me is I don't have any cancellation in my hand.
Yeah, neither do I.
I'm not amazed by anything that you're holding.
I mean, it's all decent stuff. I mean, Gandalf, unexpected. You know what? Let's just mulligan. Why not?
Okay.
And it's not horrible, but we can hope for something better. And I don't know that this is any better.
Well, I guess there's Song of Travel, you've got Arwen, and you've got some allies and some card draw. It's maybe not amazing, but I don't mind it. And I think it was lucky that I got my one song, so I think I'll keep my hand. But this shouldn't be the most difficult quest in the world, so let's just kind of see how things go. Speaking of this quest, looking at Quest Phase 1A here, Journey in the Black Pit, your party is scouting the mines of Moria, searching for signs of orcs. Dark tunnels and twisting passages spread out in all directions. A labyrinthine maze that you could wander in forever, if you take the wrong path. I feel like I should have maybe proofread that kind of weird tone there. But anyways, setup is the first player attaches good old Cave Torch to a hero of his choice. I will choose Barivore, and just as a reminder, this is a restricted attachment. Anytime that it exhausts, we discard the top card of the encounter deck. If that's an enemy, it's added to the staging area. Approximately 35% of the encounter cards of today's scenario are enemies, so it's a nice low probability there. And we can deliberately exhaust the Cave Torch to place some progress tokens on a dark location. Part of why that is so important for today's scenario is each location gets +1 threat during Quest Phase 1B. If we quest unsuccessfully, we trigger all lost effects in play, and that's kind of one of the gimmicks or the flavor of the month of this scenario here, is we have to do locate tests. We either pass or fail to find our way in the maze of Moria, and if we get lost, we trigger all of these lost effects. So they're not tied to any kind of timing sequence or round or phase or anything like that. It's just kind of a static negative effect which is triggered based on failing these locate tests. Quest Phase 1B here is unusual because instead of revealing one encounter card per player, we're going to discard cards until we find one location. We add that to the staging area, and then we shuffle the other cards into the encounter deck. And interesting is that it says add that location and not reveal and add. So I guess let's see what we pull. Discarded card number 1 is going to be Orc Drummer. Discarded card number 2 is going to be one of these nasty treacheries we have to go up against. So for Orc Drummer, that's one of those reasons I included Thalan in Matthew's deck here. Vast and Intricate is a 2-copy card, really nasty treachery, and this introduces that concept of a locate test. So, for example, if Matthew and I were to actually pull this card, it says the first player makes a locate test. The way that works is you can either decide to fail it, or you discard one card from your hand, you choose and discard one, and then you discard a card from the top of the encounter deck. If the encounter card has the word pass printed on it, note that Vast and Intricate does not, then you would pass the test. If you fail the test, you can continue discarding cards one at a time, discarding cards off the top of the encounter deck one at a time, until such time as you do pass, just to avoid triggering all those lost effects in play. Discarded card number 3, not a location. Number 4, not a location. Number 5, we finally got a nightmarish location here. This does have pass printed in the bottom right, and let's shuffle these encounter cards back into the encounter deck. Okay. So worth remembering is that each location gets +1 threat, so I'll do Control-4 to add a little threat counter on this. So we've already got a 4-threat location, and I'm already feeling pretty good about going with Eowyn over Eleanor. This is underground, it's dark, so it works with Ever My Heart Rises. This is before placing progress tokens on Twisting Passage, the first player must make a locate test. If they fail it, we don't place any progress tokens, actions, and we trigger all lost effects. Something like 14 out of the 60 encounter cards of this quest have pass printed on them, so it's like a 23% chance of passing a test. So for that reason, I cannot recommend traveling to Twisting Passage at all, and it also kind of disincentivizes us from using Northern Tracker. But anyways, I guess with all of that said and done, it's time for round number 1. Matthew, shall we do our resources and draw some cards?
Let's do it.
All right. So, starting things off, resources, cards. I've now got Shadow Cancellation. But I didn't get anything crazy good. I think I will have Barivore draw myself a couple cards. I got another one of my 1-copy Faramirs. I've got a couple of copies of Gandalf. I can definitely boost up our questing ability. For my action, I've got an attachment, Ever My Heart Rises. I think I want to throw this to your side of the table, and maybe that would be best on Thalon, since he's always going to be questing.
Okay, sure.
And let's see, is there anything else I should do? I guess I am going to, let's see, Gimli could be questing for 3. Why don't I spend 1 leadership resource for... Okay, no, never mind. If I had Song of Travel, I could do this. I was thinking I could do Unexpected Courage on the first turn and get Gimli acting at double speed. But I cannot do that, so that's it for me. And what about for you?
Yeah, I'm sort of in a similar conundrum. Do I play, Song of Travel to maybe get a questing elf out, or just play Veteran Axe Hand?
Honestly, this is one of the scarcely few scenarios where there's not a lot of reason to take our time. The quicker we get out of Quest Phase 1, the quicker that each location gets +1 threat disappears. So I think it would be a pretty good idea to get Arwen out there.
Okay. I mean, my only thought was I can afford her naturally next turn, as opposed to having to pay 3 resources this turn.
Sure.
But so Thalon pays for that, and then I have enough for Arwen.
Yeah. And hopefully we won't end up pulling one of our incredibly nasty treacheries. Even though I've got a lot of cards to discard, it'd be a bummer to, say, throw away 10 cards and fail a test. And anyway, so Arwen's out there, Song of Travel is out there, I guess let's quest. So I will send Eowyn for sure, although I don't really want to discard cards because of those locate tests. And, who are you gonna send?
I'll send Thalon and Arwen for sure, which is a total of 4.
And Arwen, let's say she'll give probably Dane +1 defense and Sentinel.
Seems like a good idea.
Yeah. So we have so few enemies, and they're all relatively weak. The question is...
I mean, I can send Dwalin as well.
Yeah.
For another 2.
Although Gimli, I guess undefended attacks are a possibility. I do have Shadow Cancellation, so we could... Probably, like, worst case scenario is you could take an undefended attack just to get Gimli damaged enough to kill whatever is engaged with you. So I feel like that's probably a reasonable idea here.
Sounds good.
Or, I mean, sorry.
Or Dane could defend as well if we only get 1.
Yeah, I was just thinking, do you want to not send Gimli, or do you want to?
Oh, I see I thought you were suggesting that we send him.
No, sorry. I was just expecting, like, if Dane is exhausted, then Gimli's only attacking for 2.
All right. Cool.
But,
so I'll send 6.
Okay. Sure. Let's see. So grand total of 10 sounds pretty good to me, but let's see what we pull. And come to think of it, I guess, I wonder if we'll be able to maybe cheat Beaufort into play. I wonder if that would be more or less likely to work if you do or don't send Dwalin. But maybe it's not worth thinking too hard about. Let's just see what happens. Okay. So, we've sent a total of 10. Encounter card number 1 for staging is going to be another location. So this is Dwarven Forge. Yep, so that's one out of those. Actually, 2 of our past cards are already gone. Kind of underwhelming lost effect here. But bear in mind, and I kind of forgot about Ever My Heart Rises, but if we travel to a mountain or underground location like Dwarven Forge, we can ready Thalon. Encounter card number 2... this is Foul Air, so this is another pass card. There are 4 copies of this in the deck. The first player makes a locate test. If this test is failed, do 2 damage to every character in play, and trigger all lost effects in play. Okay, so I suppose I should start discarding cards, unless we want to optionally fail this, but I can discard some stuff. Okay. So, let's see. First thing I want to discard is I will maybe get rid of... I think willpower is not going to be an option, or not going to be a problem for us. So why don't I discard a copy of Faramir, and let's see what I discard off the top. Oh god, yes! Wow, that's lucky. So I only discarded 1 card. Foul Air is discarded. Not only is that fantastic to see discarded, but it's also a pass. So I've passed that locate test, and therefore Foul Air does nothing. It is discarded as well. I discarded those out of order, but they're the same card, so it doesn't matter. Or no, actually, I did it appropriately. Anyways, Faramir is discarded. And that is going to be staging here. So we're up against a total of 7 threat, meaning we're going to make 1, 2, 3 progress, theoretically. I could spend 1 resource to throw out Bofer to make another 3 progress, or next round I could just drop out a Spirit Ally. And I think I might want to just save that resource for an ally that's going to hang around. Okay. So, I suppose we'll just leave it there. There was no combat, so we could have sent Gimli. And again, just based on the sheer number of underground locations, we could have sent Gimli knowing that Thalon would ready, but Matthew and I don't practice these scenarios before playing. So anyway, travel. I vote Dwarven Forge.
Sure.
All right, so we'll make that active. Its 3 threat is gone. Matthew's dwarf not only readies, but you also get a 1-drop threat reduction. Not bad for a free attachment, although Thalon's not really doing anything now that he's ready.
He's sure not.
We've also got Cave Torch here. So for dark locations, because we have ample ability to deal with enemies, should I
say
use
go for
Cave Torch? Yeah. So Cave Torch, I'll go ahead and do 1, 2, 3 progress on the Dwarven Forge, and because it exhausts, we've got to discard the top card of the encounter deck. That card happens to be a Goblin Follower. And let's see here, it is added to the staging area. So it's not revealed, it's just added. We're doing this during our travel phase action window, just to throw that out there. Okay, so for engagement, shall you take Goblin Follower?
Yeah.
Okay, you can have him. Dane is still Sentinel Defender.
Yep.
So combat, Goblin Follower gets a shadow card.
Cool.
I suppose I'll defend for you. So I've got 4 defense. There's no shadow card. 3 minus 4 is basically I take no damage. And I guess, well, I suppose you can only swing for 4 as, you know, maybe we should have done that differently in hindsight. Maybe we should have had you do that undefended.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
I'm over here thinking, would Ever My Heart Rises have been better on somebody else? I mean, I think any of my dwarves are a good target. Dwalin would have been nice because then I could get his response after attacking an orc. Not that we're concerned about threat in this particular quest.
Yeah.
But even Gimli, to send him questing and ready. But I think it's decent on all of them. But yeah, I will attack for 4. And at least we get some damage on this guy.
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and chalk that one up to sleep deprivation and playing too quickly on my part, but not a great move there. But again, probably not the end of the world. There aren't too many enemies, so I imagine we'll survive. I've got a wizard or 2 in hand that could help with that goblin follower, and you've got plenty of cards, so I'm not too concerned. But let's discard that shadow card and I guess control R. You're the first player. And let's go into our resource phase. I've now got a sneak attack for extra wizarding goodness.
Okay.
And what are we going to see you do?
I'm going to play a copy of West Road Traveler.
Sure thing. And its response generally can be pretty helpful, but Twisting Passage is enough of a nightmare that I'm happy leaving that sitting in the staging area.
Agreed.
Anything else?
No, that's it for me.
All right. So for me, I think I will have Barivore draw a couple of cards for me. Once again, I got another copy of Sneak Attack, which makes me think if we really want to blitz through this first quest phase, I could drop out Gandalf, which I may actually do, and that would conveniently get rid of that goblin follower also, if we just want to quest really hard. Neither of us have a test of will, which definitely sucks. You're the first player now, and you don't have that many cards to discard to those locate tests, and we've already seen like 4 pass cards out of the 14, which is not great. There's a mandatory locate test for Quest Phase 2, so maybe we want to push through the scenario next turn, but I think that's pretty likely. So let me see. I've got a couple of spirit resources. Why don't I pull 2 off of Eowyn, and I'll do Unexpected Courage on probably Gimli, I'm thinking.
Okay, sure.
And let's see. That is probably going to be it for me.
Okay.
For questing, let's see. Theoretically, if I were to do like Gandalf, I could do 8. It looks like you could do
11 is my max if I send everyone.
Yeah, maybe we should wait to push through until next turn, just to make it so that I'm the player that has to do the locate test.
Okay.
Just because I've got a ton more cards in hand than you do.
Okay.
So I suppose I'll hold off on playing Gandalf unless he becomes really necessary. I don't have any spirit resources for the hasty stroke trick. So let's see, you're doing the 4. I'll also do 4.
Well, I'm sending 6.
Oh, yeah. But you've got a resource for feint if you need to do that as well. So you're sending 6. Let's see. There's no guarantee we'll get another location. I suppose you could have Gimli defend and then attack. Who are you doing Arwen's Sentinel and +1 defense
I think
on?
Permanently on Dane, unless said otherwise.
Sure.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder, I've got plenty of resources to do it, and I've got plenty of cards. Maybe I should just do Sneak Attack just to ensure that we can make a lot of good progress. Although I guess because Gandalf bounces back to my hand, it's only 1 card invested. Yeah, why don't I just go ahead and pull one resource off of Dane. I'll do sneak attack.
Enough! I am Gandalf, and Gandalf means me.
I'll drop out Gandalf. Sneak attack is discarded, and I'll just do 4 points of damage to the goblin follower. And that way we can probably use the cave torch without any kind of worry. And then I'll also send Gandalf to the quest. Currently we would have to make a total of, let's see here, 11. So 1 for our active location, 10 for our quest card makes 11, and then, we'd have to send at least 15 willpower to the quest to, like, minimum to pass through the first quest phase. So if I'm sending 8 and you're sending 6, that's probably good. So we can just call it there.
Cool.
And let's reveal encounter cards. So, anyway, all that math is just to say I don't want us to pass the quest phase first round here. So, encounter card number 1 is going to be a 1-copy card. It's also a pass card. When revealed, attach this card to a location in the staging area with the highest combined threat and remaining quest points. Each enemy revealed from the encounter deck gains Surge, and this is a condition attachment. I've got, I think, 1 copy of Miner of the Iron Hills in my deck. I was also hoping that we would have, like, a hasty or test of will in hand. But this really sucks. So,
and it's a pass, which is annoying.
Yes. Thankfully, this is each enemy revealed. So anything added via Cave Torch will not count. But man, Twisting Passage is now the worst location conceivable. So let's see. Encounter card number 2, please not an enemy, is not an enemy. So this is each enemy and location currently in the staging area gets +1 threat until the end of the phase, +3 instead if it's a dark location. Twisting Passage is. We can exhaust a Cave Torch to cancel that effect. But let's see. So we've currently sent a total of 14 willpower. If we are up against 7, that's still 7 progress, which is pretty good. Do we want to... Well, you've got plenty of ready characters. I think that we could risk Cave Torch.
Yep.
Okay, so I'll exhaust Cave Torch to cancel that effect, and then let's see. We have to discard top card of the encounter deck, which is not an enemy, so it is discarded, and that was our staging.
Cool.
So we've sent 14. There's 4 threat in the staging area, means 10 progress. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we've got 12 out of the 13 quest points. I could discard a card to boost up AON, but I think, well, we don't have any... I'm just going to glance at this little quest card here. So if we progress through the quest, it'll be the first player makes a locate test. We reveal a couple of cards and add those to the staging area, then trigger all lost effects.
I mean, I don't love anything in my hand, and I would be totally fine pitching all 5 cards if we really want to move on.
Yeah. Worst case scenario is we would fail the locate test, and it wouldn't even be that big of a deal.
Yeah,
So,
it wouldn't.
And I've also got
This
another...
location is gone, so we don't have that lost effect.
Yeah.
In fact, we don't have any lost effects in play at the moment.
Here. Although this gathering ground, it's each enemy revealed gains Surge. I am just hoping this isn't going to come back and bite us. But I guess I do have Gandalf just in case we reveal some sort of really nasty enemy or something. Should we just try to push through? I think I kind of want to.
Sure, let's be risky. Make an interesting video.
Yeah. So far as what card I want to discard to Aowen, maybe I will do... Gosh. Maybe West Road Traveler. Okay, so I'll discard West Road Traveler. I'll boost my willpower up by 1, so prior to quest resolution here, we can go ahead and add that one last little token. So Dwarven Forge is going to be explored. Journey in the Black Pit, Phase 1B here is totally finished. We transition to quest card 2A. Time carries no weight in the darkness, and the hours creep by with no end in sight. The number of orcs in the mines increase as you head toward the east gate, but there appears to be little real organization within their ranks. You press forward. So we flip that card. This is when revealed. The first player, Matthew, makes a locate test. If this test is failed, we reveal 2 encounter cards, add them to the staging area, then trigger all lost effects. All right. So, dear listeners and viewers, you'll notice a bit of a dramatic and jarring edit in this video, and that is because my addled mind could not read the cards correctly. So, Quest Phase 2B here very plainly says the first player makes a locate test. If this test is failed, reveal cards from the encounter deck equal to the number of players in the game, blah, blah, blah. What I originally thought that this said is reveal cards and then do a locate test. If you fail the test, trigger all lost effects. Basically, this says you do the locate test. Only if you fail it do you do anything else. Okay. I was making this quest much harder than it needs to be. I was very worried about a ton of enemies being revealed and gathering ground, making them surge into other things, and that would have been a total disaster. Perhaps I'll tack what initially happened onto the end of this video, so it's not incredibly confusing for everyone until they've had this explanation. But anyways, Matthew, it is locate test time.
Okay.
We've got to discard a card off the top of the encounter deck in response to you ditching a card from your hand. Looks like Sigil Miner is your first pick.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Encounter card discard number 1 is Goblin Follower. It does not have pass printed.
Boo. Okay. So I'm willing to risk most of my hand, keeping Feint for last, but I'll do Ancient Madam next.
Sure. And just bear in mind for future plays, viewers, at any point you can just decide enough is enough. I'm going to volitionally fail. Encounter card number 2 is also not a pass card.
Okay.
We've got 3 more chances maximum, and it's probably like 9% odds.
Vassal?
Also not a pass card.
Okay. Veteran?
Also not a pass card. And
okay. Well, I've got 1 card left, and it's Feint, but I have a lot of dudes.
And
so
I've got sneak attack in hand.
Okay, so let's go for it.
All right. And this is a pass card, Silent Caverns.
All right.
Which is very lucky. The big concern here is because continuing eastward specifically says reveal encounter cards. That would trigger Gathering Ground, so we could get enemies that surge into other enemies, that surge into additional enemies, because this isn't like the first enemy per turn. We could have gotten a nightmarish amount of threat added to the staging area, but it looks like in this case we've managed to pass that locate test. Now, at any point, if we quest unsuccessfully, we trigger all lost effects in play. If we beat this stage, we beat the game. But at the moment, none of these locations get that +1 threat boost anymore, and we just have to kind of coast to the end. At the end of the quest phase, Gandalf bounces back to my hand.
Yeah.
For travel, we've seen so many pass cards, there's no way that the encounter deck has any left. So,
sure. Right.
I do not want to go to Twisting Passage.
I am okay with that.
All right, so refresh. I am once again first player. I'll draw one card. I will do resources. It looks like I've finally got a copy of Fresh Tracks. I will have Barivore draw myself a couple of cards. Still no Steward to be seen. You don't have any dwarves to play, so I won't do Legacy of Durin. Still no Cancellation, which could totally come back and ruin us. No Miner of the Iron Hills for me. So I suppose I'll do one resource off of Dane. Well, I'll do one resource off of Barivore for Song of... Well, I don't need to do Song of Wisdom, so never mind. But I will spend 2 resources to do Erebor Hammersmith. What is the topmost attachment in your discard pile?
I don't think I have any.
Okay, and
no, I do. Ancient Madam.
Oh, great.
Which doesn't really matter, but...
Sure.
I can pull it back for a test or something.
Right, so that bounces back to your hand. I don't have anything to benefit from.
Okay.
And I think that's all I'm going to play card-wise.
Cool.
Let's see. We would really have to quest hard to maybe be able to finish this round, but we could probably pretty comfortably do that the following turn. So let's just kind of see what happens.
Okay.
So no plays for you?
No.
Sure. All right. Committing
I'm going to send the team
to the quest. I will send 6. Let's see. The only thing is if we pull enemies, we've got to reveal additional cards. Oh, but you've got, Gimli.
And if we are able to travel, it'll ready
Right. Again.
And I do have a feint, but I happen to redraw one.
Right. And I've got that sneak attack as well, so if I were to open my eyes, yes, we've got some readying effects here. So we're sending a total of 17. I could do Beaufort. I could also do Gandalf, but I'd rather go for the sure thing than waste a bunch of resources. Just on an off chance. And no Untroubled by Darkness, which is a shame. Anyways, encounter card number 1 is not an enemy. This is Durin's Greaves. So when revealed, first player attaches Durin's Greaves to a hero of his choice as an attachment.
I say Dane.
Sure.
He's kind of our defender of choice.
Sure. May as well. Encounter card number 2... thank God I'm the first player. Okay, so Foul Air. When revealed, the first player makes a locate test. If this test is failed, do 2 damage to all characters and trigger all lost effects in play. I'm really nervous that I only have 9 cards in hand, as crazy as that sounds. Okay, so Foul Air. Card that I will discard number 1. I'll do... I will do Legacy of Durin. Discarded card does not have pass on it.
No.
My discarded card number 2, I will do Ancient Matham. Discarded card does not have pass on it. I will discard Fresh Tracks. Discarded card does not have pass.
Jeez.
I'll do Song of Wisdom. And I do get a pass. Okay, so that is lucky. I will go ahead and discard all those cards. Foul Lair does not resolve. Wow, I thought that was going to go really badly. But I guess that is that.
That armor is sort of nice that it doesn't surge, because that would suck.
Yeah. So Matthew, you and I have sent a total of 17 to the quest. I will spend 1 resource to do Beaufort, put into play from my hand, exhausted and committed to the quest.
Okay.
I'll discard Hasty Stroke to give Eowyn +1 willpower.
I'll get rid of Ancient Matham to give her +1.
Sure. So it looks like I've done a total of 6, 7, 8, a total of 11. You've got, 3, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's
12 with my discard.
Sure, although I counted that on my side.
Oh, I see.
So we've got
totals correct in the thing.
a total of 22 sent between us both, because Eowyn picks up those boosts. 22 minus the 3 threat from Twisting Passage means 19 progress. So it looks like we've got 19 out of our 17 required quest points, even without my sneak attack Gandalf. We did not quest unsuccessfully. No need to trigger all lost effects. If the players defeat this stage, they've won the game. There'll be a rather jarring edit for you all to enjoy at the end of this video, like I mentioned before. But Matthew, that was the long dark. What do you think about it?
It's funny, when we sat down to record this video, I was like, I don't really remember this one. I remember the locate test idea. I didn't remember exactly how it worked. But it's not one that gets played often. In fact, in large part, I think, because it's kind of a dud. I mean, I guess if you failed the test, and that's totally possible. I mean, I was down to my last card on the one we just did, but we didn't have any lost effects in play. So in some cases, you can still fail a test and not do anything. Because the Twisting Passage doesn't actually have a lost effect in play. So in some cases, again, failing is maybe not the end of the world. It was fun to have Ever My Heart Rises go off like once. It was fun to find the Greaves, although we never needed it. Isn't there another piece of armor in this one, or is that the only one?
I think Foundations of Stone, the next one, does Durin's Helm and Durin's Axe.
It would be fun if they, if you find it in one, you can bring it on to another, but this is way pre-campaign play. So, I don't know. This quest I think it's slightly more interesting than Hills of Emyn because there's a little more enemies, and this test is sort of interesting, but it's probably the weakest quest of this particular cycle. Much like Emyn was of its. Something about being pack 4, I think.
Yeah, so I applaud the effort or the thought that the developers put out there. There are a lot of unique mechanics in this scenario, and there's a lot of cool stuff that could happen. Theoretically, let's ignore that locate tests are just chance. It's RNG. It's kind of frustrating. At best, you've got a 23% chance to pass this test. So like us, you might get incredibly lucky a time or two, or I've also played this scenario before where I've discarded, 15 cards just to fail a locate test. But like you said, if you're doing your job as a player and you're keeping your staging area pretty clear, there may not be lost effects out there, or the lost effects might be very underwhelming. So in some cases, why even bother trying to pass? Like Dwarven Forge, each player must choose and discard a card. Who cares? There's one copy of Goblin Warlord in this deck, which is the only, high HP daunting enemy, but even that's, each player has to choose and discard an ally. If there was a lot of that going on, that would be a pain, but there's not, so it's just kind of a joke. We didn't see any of the novel, interesting new enemies like Cave Spider, where you discard a bunch of cards, making it less likely to pass locate tests. We didn't even see Rock Adder that can't be attacked unless you've dealt it damage, which is kind of a cool thing, but our decks were kind of loaded up with direct damage effects like Thalon, Spearman, Fresh Tracks to just make sure we could skewer some of these enemies before they became a problem. So, it was kind of surprising that neither of us saw a test of will, but even without it, we were able to discard enough cards to pass those locate tests, and this was at a point in the card pool where we only had Barivore post-nerf to rely on. We never activated Ancient Matham, we never used, Gleowine or whatever modern card draw effects there are. Twisting Passage is the worst location in the deck. We've had that in play the entire game, which was a bunch of threat against us. Gathering Ground is 1 card out of 60, which again, if you reveal an enemy, it surges into another enemy, that surges again into some +1 threat location, or treacheries that can become incredibly nasty. But if you've got a Test of Will, this is a joke. If you've got Miner of the Iron Hills, this is a joke too. So even though our decks were, in my opinion, built well, they were far from firing on all cylinders. And even though this scenario probably had its best, sequence of card draws, it just felt like a joke. And this is kind of an eminently forgettable scenario. So I don't know. This one seems like a dud to me. Probably not one that I am going to revisit anytime soon, but who knows? Maybe they've done something interesting with the Nightmare version of this one. But I guess unless you've got any other thoughts, Matthew.
Just echoing what you said, which is I guess I appreciate the effort a bit more than I did in Hills of Emyn Muil. I mean, if you're lost, you're depleting your resources, which is discarding your hand. I mean, there is some thematic aspect here that is more fun than frustrating, like Emyn Muil, when you got to hunt down those 20 victory points or whatever. But yeah, I think it falls flat. Maybe the Nightmare version makes it a bit more interesting. I haven't played it, but hopefully someday we will get to see.
Yeah, and I guess if nothing else, it's more interesting than Emyn Muil, where it basically, whether you're collecting victory points or your goal is to explore locations, it's the default vanilla game that you're doing. So this at least puts some interesting spin on the normal mechanics. So this one's definitely not a favorite. I don't know if I would say the least favorite scenario, but kind of the low point of the Dwarrowdelf cycle for me anyways.
Yeah. But hey, vote for the win.
Yeah.
Literally.
So my apologies for that rather glaring error in this video, viewers. If it's jarring, I don't know. I won't know until I edit this, but thank you for watching. Let us know in the comments what your own play experiences have been against the Long Dark. Have they been frustrating? Have they been fun? Have you been foolish enough to travel to Twisting Passage? I certainly don't know anyone who's done that famously in a video on the internet. But Matthew, why don't you plug your podcast and let's get out of here.
Well, I would love it if you would join my co-host and I, Dan, Derek, and Ian, for an in-depth look at the Lord of the Rings LCG, focusing on strategy, deck building, and the metagame.
Definitely give them a listen. Highly recommended from me. If you'd like to get in touch with yours truly, I'm the Hive Tyrant on Facebook and Twitter. Drop me a line, leave a comment on this video. Let us know what you think of the scenario. That's pretty much that. So, up next is going to be our Foundations of Stone player card review. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Journey in the Black Pit, Phase 1B here is totally finished. We transition to Quest Card 2A. Time carries no weight in the darkness, and the hours creep by with no end in sight. The number of orcs in the mines increase as you head toward the East Gate, but there appears to be little real organization within their ranks. You press forward. So we flip that card. This is when revealed. The first player, Matthew, makes a locate test. If this test is failed, we reveal 2 encounter cards, add them to the staging area, then trigger all lost effects. This is complicated because of Gathering Ground, but I guess, what do you want to discard first?
Well, I'll pitch 4 for sure. I guess the question is whether or not I do Faint, because maybe that'll be necessary.
Well, unfortunately, we can do these one at a time.
Oh, it's one at a time?
Yes.
How did I forget that? All right, then I'm going to do Sigil Miner because I hate that card.
Sure. Okay, so let's pray for a miracle. I guess, well, first of all, we have to reveal a couple encounter cards. So, revealed encounter card number 1 is going to be Goblin Follower. So, first of all, each enemy revealed from the encounter deck gains Surge. This, engages with the last player, so it engages me. It, oh god, Gathering Ground, I guess it can have enemies surge into other enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's not like this is ever good to see, but Sigil Mineshaft, this location here, is what was surged into. So 5 threat now, and let me remove that little threat token. So anyway, that's a nightmare, but at least it's not another enemy. Encounter card number 2, well, that kind of sucks. But, come to think of it, that goblin follower that we had earlier, I wonder if that should have been damaged by Thalon.
Yeah, I wondered it at the time, but I don't know. I don't even know that. It wouldn't have mattered anyway because it still wouldn't have died.
Sure. Yeah, totally. I just forget what the timing was there. But Thalon damages this goblin follower. Thalon damages the goblin sneak. After it engages a player, we discard the top card of the encounter deck. If it's a treachery card, then it engages the other player. So just kind of a stupid, annoying card. But because it's an enemy, it surges to this. Oh boy, which is going to be even more encounter cards. So I guess first off, we've got to boost our threat by 1 for Massing in the Deep is doomed 1, and then we reveal 2 additional encounter cards.
Good
and
grief.
This Gathering Ground, which is a 1-copy card, 1 out of 60, has proven to be a total pain in the ass. So, we've got to reveal 2 additional cards. Card 1 is Silent Caverns. Exhaust all characters. Ugh. Okay, encounter card number 2 is, hey, thank you for the softball. When revealed, the first player attaches Durin's Greaves to a hero of his choice. So, +1 defense. Kind of nice to see a beneficial encounter card. Yeah. Let's see, who should this go to? Dane has already got 4 defense. Is this useful on one of your characters, maybe?
I mean, I guess if I ever had to defend with Dwalin or something, maybe it's decent to make him a little bit bigger.
I wonder.
Gimli, we kind of want to get damaged, so he swings more. Is my only thought there.
And there's no reason for Dane to ever be deliberately damaged, so maybe I should
but Dane's...
Yeah,
he could just be a super defender or something.
Yeah, so I guess, do you want it on Dwalin, maybe?
It doesn't matter. Dwalin or Dane's fine.
I'll just do Dane, because there are a couple large enemies. Okay, so to the best of my knowledge, we've revealed as many encounter cards as we need to reveal.
But unfortunately, this pass doesn't count because it wasn't the first one,
right.
I assume?
Right, so we've yet to do that locate test, and those pass cards are, coming fast and furious here. That's a lot of locations in play, but we can deal with Sigil Mineshaft. Silent Caverns has 1 threat. But that Lost effect is now pretty crappy, although the only enemy in play is kind of a joke. Second part of this thing is blah, 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 blah. We've revealed a bunch of encounter cards. It's funny how boring this quest would be if it was not for Gathering Ground here, which this is the only time I've ever played this quest and seen that card resolved. So blah, blah, blah. Locate test time. Matthew, you discard Sigil Miner. Let's see what we discard off the top of the encounter deck, hoping for a miracle. Oh my god, it's another pass card, and it is the Foul Air Nightmare card. Matthew, oh, I'm so happy. Wow. So...
Wait, I'm confused. Why did we just reveal another card?
Okay, so... basically,
what we just did was my locate test. I'm not doing another one.
Right. So I've been revealing cards instead of discarding cards. The Silent Caverns and the Goblin Sneak were revealed when we did that, what is it called? Massing in the Deep or whatever?
Massing in...
let me click around.
Somehow I thought we were doing the when revealed effect on the quest card this whole time.
So, I guess, to summarize, we revealed 2 encounter cards. One of them, or 2 of them, were enemies that surged into other cards. Yeah, they surged into Sigil Mineshaft and Silent Caverns. Then we pulled Massing in the Deep, which ended up being...
But wasn't Goblin Follower the initial locate card test?
No.
I mean, then what was it?
We had not done one yet. I think the very first card that we revealed was Goblin Follower.
But what was it revealed for?
Just staging.
No, staging doesn't tell us to do that.
Not staging. When we revealed Quest Phase 2B and we had to pull 2 cards.
It doesn't tell us to reveal cards.
For Quest Phase 2B, it says reveal cards from the encounter deck equal...
No, it doesn't. It says the first player makes a locate. So that's why I was so. I mean, but we just played this right. I discarded Sigil Miner. The revealed card was Goblin Follower, which surged into whatever, but Goblin Follower was the card revealed for the locate test. So we didn't mess anything up.
No, well, for locate tests, you never actually reveal a card. You just discard cards.
Oh.
I screwed that up.
Well,
so bad.
Yeah, but we know the order. If you want to just do some fancy editing, we can just stack these things all back on top.
Yeah.
Start over.
Oh.
Okay, sorry. I didn't realize that they were discarded and then not revealed. So that's why I was like going along
God,
with it.
how did I that up so bad?
Well, that's okay. It's a weird thing. And like I was trying to read the rules while listening to you, and I just didn't catch it.
That's okay. Man, and that's going to make for a potentially way less interesting video.
Well, it's okay. It's a boring quest.
Wow. Okay.